Everybody's saying that they like my style. Wanna know how I do it? I smile. While you were out there saying hey, hi, hello, I was getting dressed up in shades of yellow.
Hello, welcome to episode 35 of the Lovely Job podcast. I'm Leah Spicer-Pownall. I'm the marketing manager of Miss Bush, and this is...
I'm Emma Marshall, and I am the MD of Miss Bush. Sounds a bit crap, don't I?
Bit croaky, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. I feel like, though, this has been... Do you remember me saying when I came back from Spain that I'd got that kind of slightly weird inner ear thing when my head was feeling it was swishing a little bit? And then Ben and I were doing admin sitting next to each other on Friday, and he said he didn't feel very well. And I woke up on Saturday with a sore throat, and then it's just turned into a bit of a cold, but a bit one of those rubbish ones where you just feel very achy. So I'm just hoping that I sound quite sexy and quite like Mariella Frostrup or something. So give myself a little bit of a lower tone.
You did have a very, very, very busy April as well, didn't you? You were just like non-stop travelling and doing to
stuff,
parties for
yeah.
Marsh's birthday.
Yeah, and not enough vegetables and too much wine. But actually, even though like yesterday I didn't feel great, we had a barbecue. Because I know sounds weird saying we had a barbecue because we've been here for like a year and a half now almost, but we didn't have our garden done until sort of like June, July last year. So it was just a tip, like an overgrown jungle, and not a very big one. So yesterday it was literally not a cloud in the sky. So we had a barbecue, which was really nice, and I made a load of vegan stuff. Like all the sides were vegan, and I did a really good vegan dish. So I had loads of vegetables yesterday.
Everybody was happy. Lovely. Okay, so what do you want to talk about?
Well, got a couple of things on my list to talk about. We got a question which I think I probably can cover at quite great length. So probably therefore I'm wondering whether or not we start with some actual business thing, like another sale, and explain a bit about that and why we're doing it. Because that would be quite good.
Okay, so why don't we tell them what the question is first, and then they have to hear the sale bit before they can hear the answer.
I see what you're saying.
Bit of like catnip.
Yeah, okay, so it's like a sort of content sandwich. Fair enough. Okay, so basically I had a question from a client, which is quite interesting. Which dresses do you recommend for curvy brides? I am between two Jesus Peiro dresses, 2532 and 2509. And I have I have a lot to say about that. I will get back to that after this piece of sales information we're about to share with people.
After this little announcement.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, I think there's got some I think there's some tea and some shade to be had in the announcement as well. So it's not just kind of...
it's not just a boring primary. It's actually got some weight behind it.
Yeah. So basically we had a sale not that long ago, like about a month ago, maybe just slightly over. But and at that point you're sort of that's before Barcelona Bridal Week, and you're sort of assessing what you're going to, what brands you're going to keep, if you're going to get rid of any, or and so you think you've got your plans and you think you've got a fairly solid kind of lineup of brands, and I wasn't really looking for anybody else. And then all retailers that are listening, we all know retailers are listening, but perhaps brides don't know that it's having brands in your shop or designers is a bit like having a car dealership. You get an area exclusive for a particular geographic area. And the deal is, generally speaking, that you can negotiate this basically on your kind of experience of where brides travel from. So sometimes some brands try and give you, like, say, a 25-mile area exclusive, so 25 miles of travel in any direction. But obviously when 25 miles from us takes you into central London, it's a sort of reasonably unfair rule. So basically, because of the amount of people that are living there. So with one particular designer, Sophie Volar, when I took them, I was like, okay, here is the direction of travel of my brides. These are the postcodes that I would like to have as my area exclusive. And it wasn't anything really swinging. It wasn't like, I want all of London. It was like, here's where I know our brides travel from to get to us. And this is my commitment to you. And I will buy samples. And I think we've done a really good job of championing what is quite a niche brand with quite contemporary designs, and they are not the kind of designs that sell by the truckload. They just aren't, because when it comes down to it, as we've discussed often, getting married in itself is not that cool. You're committing to monogamy and settling down. So as much as everyone touts around cool brides, you tend to find that really, really, truly cool brides are either wear something utterly alternative, and depending on your definition of cool as well, which is up there for discussion. So basically, and what happens with most designers or brands, that there'll be an appointed person who is to look after you. So sometimes with some brands and designers, you get an agent. Obviously with like Jesus Peiro, we have Marion, who was I think our first guest, wasn't she?
Yeah,
on
she
the podcast.
was, yeah.
So she is amazing. So she manages the clients, the areas of exclusivity. If she noticed a drop off in like orders going through to the company, she would like ask why. She would let us know if we'd missed something that was a very key product. Generally is there to like develop the business for both herself and Jesus Peiro and us, and works as a sort of an intermediary, and obviously knows what everybody else is doing, but is extremely discreet about it. So she's a really good example of an agent. My agent that I have, Sophia Villar, really was one of those agents that was, I think, about getting new business for the company. So from one year to the next of a sort of wholesale trade show, they weren't in touch. They weren't like, you're not doing enough business, or why is this not working, or this, you could be doing more with this. We're getting a lot of inquiries from the UK brides for this. Zero communication. So like every single piece of business that we did with Sophia Villar was generated by us and my general fangirling of the brand, and me being confident enough to put quite different dresses on people. But yeah, they've reneged on that Aero exclusive. They didn't tell me before the trade show, so it gave me no chance to replace the brand or look at something else. So unfortunately, because I still actually do really love their dresses, I am going to stop selling their dresses, because basically me giving the oxygen of publicity and the promotion and doing PR marketing for someone who can't uphold their end of a bargain is just not going to happen. They're incredibly niche. I've had to have sort of not that Rosie is in theory the person that makes the financial decisions entirely, but she's like, Emma, these aren't really making the money for the shelf space they're getting, but I just love them. We do enough business with the other designers to do it, but when the agent decides to completely shaft you and go back on a thing, go back on an agreement where we're the only stockist that has been repeating at all, as far as I can see in the UK, then they can just go and get stuffed. And then basically the other thing is, and I don't think this is any shade on the actual brand, I don't really think they know what's going on, which is also bad, because quite often if you have a bad agent that stands between you and the actual designer, they actually effectively are cock blocking that growth and development of the brand, because you've got no direct feedback and there isn't a kind of dialogue. So we always do much, much better with people when we have got direct access to the designers, and we can have a very frank and open conversation with them. So we've got to have another sale. So in a stroke of marketing genius, Leah and I have decided that it's going to be the Cool Girl sale. It's for cool brides. So we're basically going to have a sale where we're going to put in front of everybody all the really discretionary, cool second wedding dresses, good dresses for a kind of Chelsea registry office, good dresses if you're quite unconventional, just that kind of thing. So it's the Cool Bride sale, basically. So apart from Sophia Voila, there'll be pieces from Matuszewski, there will be pieces from Jesus Peiro, there'll probably be a couple of Nautier pieces, a couple of editorial pieces. I mean, and once we're doing a sale, we probably will put a few classics in. But our marketing strategy for this, if I may call it that, is to advertise it as the Cool Brides sales. So 29th of May, one for the diary, one if you wanted to get yourself an opera coat or a second look or a short dress, or just something quite different, and you will know that like nobody else is going to be wearing that in the UK. And they also, for things like that, you can also shorten them, and they're just really, really good dresses. things that I've absolutely loved, but they're now just going to be redundant to me. I will be replacing a couple of the styles I really love with similar looks from different brands. So for anybody that really loves that vibe, don't worry. I've just got to find someone else to do it now. This is kind of annoying, but yeah, it's too. Retailers listening will know that it's too hard to do the work. I mean, let's just talk in purely sales terms. It's to do the sales appointment and then not pick up the sale, and it happens quite often with like flagship stores and stockists, both ways, that someone can invest a lot of time and money in things, and then for some reason you don't get the order, but the person's ordered the dress you effectively helped them choose, but you just don't get to do it. So I am sick of that game.
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like we've put a lot of promotional materials out for the brand, and if brides are Googling the dresses and looking for them and they're looking for inspiration, and then if they're in London, they're going to go to the one in London because it's much closer, but they might find the brand from what we've put out, which is really annoying.
Yeah. So I'm not really, I'm not interested in playing that game, and like they're not valuable enough in terms of pure finances to kind of fight. So don't take it, do something else with it. I don't care. It's sad though, because I think it's I think it's an example of an agent not doing their job properly, of literally doing the new business sale and then just forgetting about you. It's like when
I had trouble getting like images and stuff from them as well in the past. I've had to chase up multiple times for images.
Yeah, they are, but it's just really irritating. It's really irritating having to do another sale, but okay, we'll do another sale. It's fine. We'll do another sale. We'll put other things in there as well. You get me and Ben and Rosie, probably Charlie, to help you. It's going to go out quite soon.
It's going to go on Tuesday.
Okay, so tomorrow. Read all about it. You'll be able to sign up.
For anyone that has been in and tried on Sophie Vola, they still have a chance to order before the end of May.
We're going to put a little round robin out about that, aren't we?
Yes. So if you have been in and you've loved a dress, you can still order it. You've got a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they would probably take an order beyond that, but the point is there has to be a point where I've got to be like, that is enough. So anyway.
Okay, right. Well, on to our juicy content.
Juicy content, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that this is kind of like quite an interesting question that I got asked via Instagram. I shared it, so for anybody that follows us, they can see what the question is. It was, as I say, a bride asking, if you were a curvy bride, which of these two Jesus Peiro dresses would you choose? Where to start on this, eh? Where to start? Firstly, okay, so let's define what we all mean by the word curvy bride. I mean, it is. I mean, I think by the standard definition of what curvy means in bridal, pretty much everybody that works for us would be curvy, but probably Charlie actually at the moment. So I think if we are going to use curvy as a kind of like a sort of byword for maybe a size 16 and above, I would just like to reassure that everybody listening that isn't. I think that's a completely normal, regular size of client that we see, and we would not really, really don't love classifying people by their dress size. So I would say that I think is quite a sort of that would be quite a fundamental tenet of our brand, is that we don't really want to classify anybody by their dress size. Saying that, I think when you are completely bombarded constantly on all the socials of people trying on dresses or the marketing imagery, largely it's still on what you would probably, if we're going to use sort of reductive language, we're going to call them slim people. So I think it's quite understandable why people have this kind of concern about it. And then also, if we look at the things we've discussed on the podcast, we had the fat bride. Was it called the fat bride on TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Taking a swipe at all bridal shops for not being inclusive. And then we had the person we were talking about last time who was rating wedding dress shops, who's someone who, you gotta say, if you start that content, you're a bit of a narcissist, right?
I think so.
And she's self-identifying as a hot girl / standard side brides. And I think when you get that, so not when you're only are you getting the brand messaging, but you're also getting, internet content creators creating imagery, which is divisive and kind of basically reinforces those kind of tropes and stereotypes. It's quite hard for someone to wonder where they fit in to that situation. And I guess and also brands have marketed things for curve collections, which means that they will sample things above maybe an 18, 20. But again, it's like that, it doesn't really address what we really know as women, which is the absolute fact that people don't scale in a standard way, that people aren't standard sizes, that the human body doesn't scale by increments of 2 inches or 4 centimeters. And also, that's not how people's bodies work. So it is quite tricky, because you've got these, you really don't have anywhere the illustration of what actually really happens if you pick a dress for yourself. And it is really hard, because I had a bride's mum in the other day. She's going, but this doesn't fit. And I was like, it's the sample. She's like, but it's gaping here. And I'm like, it's the sample. It's the sample dress, I can't tell you, it's the sample dress. It's over and over again. It's like, no, you wouldn't be allowed to leave the shop like this. So I think the kind of concept, which is really helped by these people like sharing their trying on experiences, is that it's not a straight yes or no to these things. We have to work with someone to define what it is they want, and then they have to feel really confident that there's a definite, let's simplify it to a 2-stage process of a made to measure dress followed by a technical set of fittings, so that if in normal life you can't normally wear a really fitted slim dress, for example, because you've got one size top and another size bottom, and if you go shopping you can't get that to work for you, or me, big top, smaller bottom half, in bridal you can have what you like, but you've got to kind of move yourself away from the conversations. Is this one that's in the shop I'm trying on right now? Can I see how this can be made for me? Right. So, okay, that's the basic philosophy of this whole thing, which is like, the narratives are confusing and we're not used to having clothes made for ourselves. So the idea you can have what you want, because it's not whether or not they've got your size in stock or whether that size fits, or you've got so much more choice, but that doesn't make it easier to make a choice, because hello, people. So I often say, so anybody that's actually been into the shop and had a kind of an appointment with me has heard me say this saying. I say this as, I run 2 brains. I run my body positive feminist brain alongside my slightly shallower brain, which is understanding that sometimes people come to me with an expectation of what they want to look like and bits of their body parts that they're not keen on. So at the moment, I'm now going to employ that second, slightly shallower brain that is a bit unreconstructed and hasn't done the work. So we're going to work from the idea that there is things that work for people and things that don't. The really brilliant thing about these 2 Jesus Peiro dresses, so if you want to know what they look like, they are on Instagram, on stories, but they're also on our website. So we've got one, which is style 2532, which is Jesus Peiro dress, which is crepe, a very heavyweight crepe that Jesus Peiro do. They call it Bombay crepe. It's got a statement puff sleeve with a 3/4 length fitted cuff, a V-neck that doesn't go that low, so not boobs ahoy. You are able to wear a bra with it. It's got a high drift waist, and it's got a detachable cape train. So let me run you through some features and benefits. If you identify as curvy, so if you identify as maybe a 16 or over, and you have some hang-ups about some of your body parts, let me take you piece by piece through this dress and tell you why that this is a good dress for you to have. Firstly, you can wear a bra with 2 straps with it. So that means no shapewear, no weird underwear solutions. It means we can put your boobs in the right place and they can stay there all day and be comfortable. So that's kind of handy. The back is slightly lower than bra strap height. So if you wanted to wear a fairly sturdy bra like I would, you would simply ask Jesus Peiro to raise the back neckline by a couple of buttons and your bra wouldn't show. We would then retrofit some bra carriers in the shoulders and in the back neckline so it would never show. So that's a good one if you've got a bust. It's also a matte fabric, which means if you've got big boobs like I have and you put a shiny fitted fabric on, by the natural physical properties of light, you would get a highlight on the top of your boobs and a shadow underneath your boobs, sort of creating the impression of a little bit more curve. So matte fabrics, because they're much more light absorbent, will flatten that look of that curve. So it's
clever.
That's a bit of a smoke and mirrors trick, but it's a thing. So
I think that's something people would never consider. That's just...
it's a thing, definitely. It's
good.
This has also got a statement sleeve. So a statement sleeve can help in 2 ways. Firstly, it's just cool. Secondly, it has effects on the rest of the body. It's all about putting proportions in. So if you think about the dress like architecture, it's quite helpful. So basically what can happen with the statement sleeve at the top, like with a bit of a puff, if you identify as someone with a bigger top arm and you put a skin tight sleeve on, 1, you can't move, and secondly, it makes your arms look a bit bigger. Just in the same way as if you had like a little bit of a thigh and you wore something tight on it, you could see the contour outline of said thigh. So arms tight fitted, you still see the contour outline of your arm. And if you want to disguise the actual physical shape of your arm, putting a little bit of a puff with it is really, really good. And the puff sleeve also allows for movement of the arm as well. So you can throw your arm in the air and wave your bouquet around, no problem whatsoever. And it also means if you've got a sleeve, it hides the armpit crease / goes into the boob, goes into the side body. So nobody has to worry about that. Also, puff sleeves look good side on. Quite a lot of people are really worried about getting captured side on and their arm looking wide. And again, please be aware I'm in the second half of my brain here, not in the body positive side of my brain. So again, having a puff sleeve that narrows to the forearm will actually incredibly slim your arm, and the same as having it finish at a 3/4 length, because people aren't usually paranoid about the piece of their arm from their mid forearm down to their wrist. So it stops you looking too overcovered and gives a nice little bit of a kind of delicate forearm to look at. The other thing about this is it's got a curved bust seam, which means there's no shouldn't be a sharp point on the end of your boob. Good thing about this skirt, it's quite generous in volume, but it falls pretty straight. So the takeaway from one of your guests would be that you're wearing a slim dress, but actually you're not. You're wearing quite a volumey crepe skirt, but from quite a high point. So it's quite a high drift waist, which means that it doesn't sit on your natural waist, which means it doesn't catch on the piece of people's bodies that they're always paranoid about, which is the bit from your belly button to the top of your bikini line, which as women we all know that's where anything that ever happens to us, babies, PMT, appendix scars, just general anything, like to have that bit flat that you could put a ruler across it, or spirit level, and it would be completely flat. Hip bone to hip bone is just not a reality. Basically this has got a slightly high drift waist, so it means that it kind of like it defines the waist but at the high side of it, rather than like a tight line round the waist, which then might cause a bulge underneath that. It's like I've seen people wear this without any specialist pants whatsoever, and when I still think if you don't want to get a sense of underwear, you still should wear something that is nude or pale that comes up to the waist. It doesn't have to be shapewear, but it just not putting an elastic line across your abdomen is probably quite a good idea. So overall, it's got a lot of physical properties that make this a good dress for basically showing your personality, and giving a great shape but not making your actual figure the front and central part of a conversation. So technically it's a good dress.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really good.
yeah. And so, but equally, I have 2 sample sizes of this in store. I have a smaller size and I have one that probably equates to about a UK 18. Because when I saw it, I was like, do you know what? This is going to be a good dress across the sizes. What happens is for brides who would identify as bigger than a size 18, you can still absolutely try this. It's not difficult to get on. It may not fully close at the buttons at the back, but I would say you could try it up to a size 22, 24 maybe. But like Jesus Peiro have no upper limit. And if we go above a sort of 18, 20, we tend to do made to measure because much like me, my boobs will measure more than a 20. I don't scale equally to that size. So, my boobs are probably 3 or 4 dress sizes bigger than the rest of me. So it's got that like amazing advantage of being able to be made exactly for you as well. So that is the Jesus Peiro.
Just to say about the puff sleeves as well, because I'm bigger on the bottom, I would choose a puff sleeve because it would make my bottom look smaller. Because it's like it levels it out.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah.
There's some fridge magnet kind of meme that says fashion is all about proportion, and it is that kind of thing. You're looking for something that pleases the eye. And I know that this sounds like, do not stereotype it, but there was a thing I was listening to on Rest is Entertainment the other day, and they were talking about the shape of books and why that they're oblong, and the like something to do with the like 3x2 kind of like golden ratio, and actually you can really look into it. And the reason why books are like a definite line is your eye finds it easy to go along, stop and back again at a certain length. Whereas if you get, and Marina was saying, if you get one of those emails where something's gone wrong and suddenly you're reading the email and you're having to scroll right across a page, it's like really, really like, it really disturbs your eye. So there is something geometric and technical about dressing that it's got nothing to do with any sense of not a sense of like cultural significance, but just one that feels balanced. And us neuro spicy types also, I can't, like, I'm actually looking at my desk in front of me and I have got 2 vases and 2 candlesticks like symmetrically put on my desk because I can't bear unsymmetrical things. It really bothers me. So I definitely think there are some things which I would advise because they're just pleasing in a kind of quite mathematical way to the eye. I also quite like a puff sleeve because I don't like my boobs to be the biggest thing on my body. So if I wore a skin tight something, my arms would look like twigs and my body would look like, I don't know, a bit of a turkey. Do you know what I mean? I'd have that sort of turkey. Really ready for Christmas, that kind of thing. It's like I have quite a big torso with the boobs on it, and so the big sleeves just kind of again just don't make my arms look like Betty Spaghetti and my body look like a turkey. And don't care. I'm very happy about my body. I don't care about that, but I just would prefer to wear certain things that make me feel a certain way. And that's very different for everybody. And so the other dress that was been asked for is the 2509. Now, the 2509 comes from a very solid pedigree of Jesus Peiro dresses, which are more tailored in a crisper fabric. Now with this one, it's photographed in quite a sort of vintagey brocade. We've got 2 samples of it again in 2 different sizes. I think we've got a size 40, which is a sort of 810-ish, and a 50, which is an 1820-ish. On the small side of both of those, but that sort of thing. And then our 1820-ish one is done in a dotty silk taffeta. So this is something, again, where you can really work with a core basic of Jesus Peiro and make your own dress. So it's got a slightly rounded square neck, which is good on some people, whereas a sharp square is good on other people. And there is no hard or fast rule about that. Something to do with the reflected face shape. And honestly, I swear to God, if I was a bit more maths geeky, I'd probably like map people's faces and work out why certain chin lines and face shapes and head shapes worked with necklines better. But there is something. I can sort of tell it, but that's 30 years of just looking at it. Anyway, so this dress is really good. So you can have it in any of the Jesus Peiro fabrics that are suitable for this kind of dress. So it could be in a Duchess satin, which is called Regina satin from these guys. It could be in a silk Mikado. It could be in any of their textured fabrics. And each fabric choice will give you some options to put sleeves with it if you want to. So if you were fancying a really statement sleeve, then you can put like a silk organza sleeve with this. You could put a sparkly sleeve. You could put whatever you like, because doing a plain silk with it would allow you to either order the dress with sleeves from Jesus Peiro, because any of their dresses that's got a proper armhole can have a sleeve. So it's very good. Again, it's very bra friendly. 2 bra straps go in there, no problem whatsoever. And it's got an interesting arrangement of pleats on the skirt. It is got a flat front, so people can feel quite lean as they look down, but it's got pleating. So you don't get that sort of A-line shape, which is tight around the high hip, i.e. the bit of your abdomen that everyone's freaks out about. So the pleats will give a little bit more definition to the waist by making the hips look a tiny bit more popped. But because of the pleats, you don't get anything tight to your abdomen, which I think is also very good. Arguably, depending on the kind of wedding you're having, this would look, if you asked a child to draw a wedding dress, this probably looks more like a wedding dress. I mean, I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? But I think if you had particularly conservative guests, or, you were wanting to present as a very classic bride, then this one I would say would have a slightly classic edge over the 2532. But really, honestly, both are really, really ideal dresses.
You forgot to mention that has pockets.
Oh, yeah, I forget that people like that. Yeah, it's got pockets.
People love it when a dress has pockets.
They love pockets, they love buttons. And I'm like, how else are you going to get in it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, pockets and buttons, basically. Yeah, so it has pockets and buttons, and I think a really, really, really good dress. So, yeah. So I would say, but then they're asking me to choose between it. I need more context for that.
Yeah.
I need to really know.
It depends on your wedding, your venue, when it is, all sorts, I suppose.
Yeah. And it's like, and there would be a question, and I could be really, by today's current beauty standards, however rigid and limiting they are for some people, we could be like, just which one is most flattering? Well, I mean, I probably could give an opinion on that, but I think what really looks best is when you truly feel comfortable wearing it, and you could just be like, walk a little taller, feel a little braver. That's really what I'm looking for, is a little bit of an X factor, because I think once both of those are made to measure, both would be an extremely good fit, and they're very good across a whole. I think any dress that I buy that I've picked in more than one size and more than one fabric, you got to know that I think it's a very good dress for every body, not everybody, but every type of body. But yeah, it's one of those things though that is like, it's quite a hard question to answer, because therefore I've just had to bring what I would say is quite a lot of technical knowledge there, but it's assuming that I have a criteria of what I think a woman should look like. Yeah, which I don't.
It's good though. I like that we've had 2 actual styles to choose from that you can actually dissect.
That compare and contrast.
I could have more of those if people are like stuck between 2 dresses. Let us know. we'll break them down for you.
Yeah, that is quite a breakdown actually, isn't it? I kind of feel like you don't really know that you have that much to say about it until you're asked a very specific question. But I knew that there would be quite an opinion to be had there. But I do feel moved to be all very kind of like, it doesn't matter, wear what you like, but actually sometimes people are just looking for answers.
Yeah, that's not what people want from you. They want you
sometimes they just want an actual answer. It's like, is this going to be good? Is this going to work for me? Also, another thing that we've got actually for the 2509 is we made, with the Nautier jackets, we made a really, really great square neck jacket in lace. So also, if you wanted to put a temporary sleeve on the square-necked one, then we've actually got a really good jacket that sits with that dress really well.
Which is on our Instagram right now, I think.
Is that
the one? The lacy one.
Yeah. We put it over a strapless one, didn't we, on Instagram? There's pictures. If anybody wants to see what I think of what you should wear if you're curvier, there I am in a massive, like, Sister Drain dress. But, that's... and I think that's possibly what I'm going to do, when I'm looking at my kind of like replacement, like Sophie et voilà dresses, is probably look at some shapes that I know that Georgia and I have been made, and work a little around that and be a little bit braver with our curve looks, because I think, you know, generally speaking, that's it. It can be. I think the general offer can be quite apologetic that's put out there.
Yeah.
I was looking at the BAFTA red carpet, and I'm like, oh, it's such a shame, isn't it, really? Because it comes so close on the back of the megawatt stardom and the megawatt couture houses doing the Met Gala, and then you're like, no, okay.
Yeah, you just wouldn't bother, would you?
And also, there's like the Daily Mail had done a worst dressed, and I pretty much disagreed with their choices. I have to say,
Yeah.
I thought it was worst dressed. I thought, I can't remember the actress's name, the one from Motherland. I thought she had an incredible dress on, black.
Anna something.
Yeah,
yeah, I love her.
And the thing is the one thing that, you know, like, I feel a couple of times people have, not recently actually, because I don't think I've ever said anything that difficult about people on red carpets. I tend to be genuinely a fan. And if I think people don't look great or I don't love their choice, I generally say nothing, because it's not my job to amplify the troll space online. But the thing is, with the BAFTA one, though, it just looks a bit like there was a lot of wedding dresses, shall we say, put it that way. There was a lot of wedding dress designers. I really actually like a woman I've never heard of that had got a purple version of like a Divine Atelier dress, the Leah dress. I actually thought that looked really nice. I've never really thought,
in purple.
Yeah, I never really thought about asking them to make me dresses in colour before, but now that
we're going to get a yellow one made, okay?
I know. Well, now I'm more thinking about Georgia and her constant like desire for like stage wear. So yeah, I should probably plug her as well, shouldn't I? Georgia.
Yes, you've put some exciting news out, haven't you?
Only on my personal Facebook, yeah. So Georgia, my daughter, who does the introduction music for this podcast, is currently en route to Poland because she's had a #1 single there. So she has actually, it was Lady Gaga's Abracadabra, then followed by Georgia. I'm quite excited about that, actually. I feel more excited if I didn't feel so ill. But yeah, so she's over in Poland doing some press and things for that. So, but yeah, so good to know that at some point, if I need to get her something other than just Nautier, I can get her maybe a Divine Atelier dress in a colour.
Yes.
Really good.
Very good.
I could see her in a Danielle. Yeah, I could see her in a Danielle in a colour, I have to say. So, it'll be good.
Yes, very good.
But
okay, right. Do we have anything else to discuss?
Do you know, like, I feel actually today that my throat and my whole I feel very nasal, and I think I might be sounding quite irritating. So probably, I think we covered the question and the business.
If anyone else wants to send us any more questions for next week, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Sorry about the croaking, everybody.
Okay, and we'll see you next Monday.
See you next Monday. Bye.
Bye.
You'd like to know, wouldn't you? You'd like to know